welcome to the Doctor Who Big Finish review. Today it's a very special review because I'm kicking off our reviews of the very recent 10th Doctor, Volume 1 of Audio Adventures on Big Finish. Aware that this product is going to be getting an absolute ton of interest from people that have quite frankly never heard of Big Finish before in their lives. And just in case you don't know, Big Finish is basically an audio company that has been running since 1999. Yes, that is longer than the revived series put together. And they've basically done classic series episodes for the 4th Doctor, 5th Doctor, 6th Doctor, 7th Doctor, 8th Doctor, and most recently the War Doctor, and of course now the 10th Doctor in audio form. Now it is very exciting because this is the first ever time we've had a proper new series Doctor on Big Finish. Although in the past 6 months or so we have seen the release of the John Hurt War Doctor box sets, personally I still feel that these are a bit of a questionable thing when it comes to the new series, because I've always referred to the Time War as quite a classic series thing with the 8th Doctor, but then Day of the Doctor came along and sort of ruined that, and yeah, we now have these, which I sort of class as a bit of a limbo between new series Doctor Who and classic series Doctor Who. But now we have David Tennant on Big Finish. This is questionably the biggest new series thing that we've had in a very long time. So first off, how can you buy this release? It is available in many different forms from the Big Finish website and other retailers at the end of the month, I do believe. So the first release is a very special Doctor Who Collector's Edition book with the 10th Doctor on the front and Donna, and it's basically a book with the CDs put inside. If you've seen the 6th Doctor Last Adventure release from Big Finish and a few other special edition releases, you will know what I'm talking about. It's a very nice presented release, it is very interesting. Limited edition to 5,000 copies, and I highly recommend that if you're a major Doctor Who fan for David Tennant. And as well, it comes with 2 bonus CDs, I do believe, featuring 2 hours worth of documentaries, so that is very exciting as well, some interviews and things in there. As I said, that is an exclusive to the Doctor Who Big Finish website, so you need to go there for that. I will link it in the description below. And just so you know, if you do order that release, you also get accompanied with it the download as well, which means that you can put it onto your computer, and if you have an iPhone, onto iTunes and things, and as well the newly updated Big Finish app. The second release that you can buy is the standard CD release. Now these are a little bit cheaper, $10.99 each, or as a bundle for £25, which means it does work out cheaper than the special edition book. And you also get the downloads of this as well. Once again, these are more of the widespread thing. You'll be able to buy these from shops like Forbidden Planet at the end of the month, I do believe, but they're available now on the Big Finish website, and I highly recommend buying them if you're into the more CD style of format. They're sort of a little bit smaller and easier to put on a shelf. That's that. I will leave in the description below the links to these releases in case you want to go and have a look at them and decide what one you no doubt want to buy. In this review, I'm covering the first episode of the 3 stories, which is Technophobia, written by Matt Fitton. Matt Fitton has really quickly actually made an impact on my Big Finish life because I really enjoy his stories. He's cropped up in my mind a lot when it comes to Big Finish, and he is a very good writer. But as I said, the 10th Doctor is of course played by David Tennant, and Catherine Tate plays Donna Noble, which first off is possibly the best thing that they could have done, bring back Donna, because we've only had a series with her on actual TV, and I think it's definitely the companion that they should have brought back. It is a definite brilliant idea, and it's just a great way to ease in the new series, as I think it is a nice easy thing to write because there's so much you can do with it without Rose sort of dangling off his leg saying how much she loves him and all that. All of that stuff can sort of go to the side for a bit because Donna and the 10th Doctor are just amazing, and probably one of the best relationships that we've had in new series Doctor Who, probably actually to date. So Technophobia is an episode that is modern, which is perfect because we have a modern Doctor and a modern story, and this episode is all based around technology. It's based, I do believe, around 2013-ish, I would say, maybe even 2010, and I just love the concept. It's around technology and basically technology backfiring, which is what I love. It's about iPhones, in a way I guess without sort of copyright in there, but it's about phones and other mechanical devices that basically go wrong because they have been sort of hacked into by an alien force. First off, the episode starts with Donna being at this lovely little convention where they're basically doing this nice little technology event where the Doctor's having lots of fun. She's just waiting in the lobby, and we get introduced to a character called Bex, which later becomes a lot important character in the story. And yeah, it's a nice little opening because I think that it just eases you in so well, and it's just a nice thing because the first thing that we hear within the first few minutes is the Doctor getting all excited about seeing Donna again, and yes, we have all the just kind of Donna, yay, you know, and all of that. Just the conversation is honestly like they never left. It is amazing. One of the first things that we hear the 10th Doctor say is sparkly dongle, which if that alone doesn't make you want to buy this release, I don't know what will. Very early on in the story, we're introduced to the technology going a little bit iffy, and it is very clear, I think, from the go that this episode is going to involve technology going wrong, which once again, much like other Big Finish stories, it isn't as complicated, which is what I found with it. It's not as complicated as other Big Finish stories, which is nice, bearing in mind that this is a release that no doubt is probably one of the biggest jumping on points in years. And yeah, it's just a nice little ease-in story. I don't know if they'll get sort of a bit more complicated as the series goes on, but this one is a perfect way to start the series. It's quite a nice, easy story to get into, and I just adored it, really. So we have this sort of technological person called Sylvie, which is no doubt probably a bit of a twist on Siri, and basically it's a voice that's within the technology and you can tell her to do stuff, and she's a bit backfiring during an interview, and it's quite embarrassing for the person who's called Jill, who's the equivalent of Steve Jobs, who's created the technology. And yeah, quite early on we have got sort of this really eerie effect, because I think that Sylvie has a really weird voice anyway, and I think that it works very well because we don't know what exactly is going on. It's left a mystery to start with, then overall little bits of the plot sort of get revealed, and then every so often we get a new bit of plot to go on to it, and it really keeps you guessing this story. Even though it's a little bit simpler in places, I think that it works very nicely, and I do really like the pace of the story as well. Just want to get into Donna straight away, to be honest. Donna's amazing. I love Catherine Tate, seriously. She's probably one of my favourite new series companions, and she's just brilliant, honestly. I think it was 2008 when Series 4 aired, and it honestly feels like 2008. This literally felt like it's been recorded in 2008. The format fitted so well with Series 4, and it's just unbelievable that this has now been coming on probably 7 years, something like that, since Series 4 even happened, since they've needed to play the 10th Doctor and Donna, and it's honestly like they never left. Personally, I never really felt that the 10th Doctor meant much to me. Even though he was my first ever Doctor and he does have quite a special point in me, I still feel that I've gone back to see the classic Doctors that offer a lot more than him. But I loved him in this story. I've got to say, I really enjoyed David Tennant in it as well. I think that he had some brilliant lines. Once again, it's like he never left screen. Some of the things that he says you could imagine being in a Doctor Who story on the screen. And I think that the characters have just been captured so well by Matt Fitton. And seriously, it proves to the point of why Big Finish should have their writers on the actual show. Guarantee that the new series will be a lot more bearable with writers that have been experienced on Big Finish. The villain for this story is called the Cognoscenti, which is sort of a stereotypical villain, really, I guess. But they do have sort of quite a nice twist. In case you've seen the CGI version that they've knocked up, because you don't in fact see it as it is an audio. But I do really like the idea of the design for it that's seen on the promotional art for the story. It's very interesting, very alien-ish, and we do have sort of the big rounded head, which I do like. It's nice to see them again. We don't really have a full-on invasion. We have something similar to the Bells of St. John, where the technology backfires, a bit like the Spoonheads in a way, but done a lot better and a lot easier and just generally a lot nicer. And yeah, they don't really invade to an extent. They sort of have the technology to do all of that for them, and they use it against the humans, which is something that I love, because I think that it's played within now present day Earth that obviously we're getting too wrapped up in technology, and it makes you think of how we're having this story, aliens invading and using that against us. I have this brilliant scene where the invasion takes place. The aliens aren't even in sight, but it's the technology going mad, and basically people getting scared and screaming at iPhones, which is just stunning. The foundation for the story is basically the Cognoscenti are making people thick, which is something that only Donna could say, really. I think the plot fits Donna very well. She makes it very blunt. They're basically making people very thick and getting scared of technology. So that means that everywhere that they go, automatic doors terrify people, lifts terrify people, and the escalators on the tube are the most terrifying thing ever, which I think is a brilliant thing to do, because it sort of plays on mental problems in a way, and the way that the mind can play tricks on you, which is what I think is a brilliant thing, because the mind is an interesting thing, and we don't really know everything about it to this day of our own human mind, and I think that that is something that it makes the mind very weak, and I think the villain for this story makes that work very well, as they have basically manipulated the human mind to devolution and basically make them like Neanderthals, so they can't talk, they can't really communicate very well, and they sort of just do grunts and sing nursery rhymes for a while and basically become a bit like children, which is something I've not seen in the new series, because hey, Moffat, you should take on those ideas, because that is something new. Stop recycling your plots, please. Great. We're earlier introduced to a character called Bex, as I said, or as the 10th Doctor calls her, Bex with an X. And once again, you would hear the Doctor saying that when it was like 2006 or something. It fits so well. I think that it works very well. Bex with an X is good. She's a temp, much like Catherine Tate as well in the story, which is nice. We have a bit of more of a development there. And we just generally have sort of a very nice bond between Bex and Donna, as you do see them together for quite a lot of the story. They go off together to go and see her gran, which you never eventually get round to. And yeah, it's very interesting because we have a character essentially in the exact same career path as Donna, but this time on Earth. Somebody being Donna's companion in a way, and something that we can see if Donna didn't go off with the Doctor, this is sort of what she would be like. And I really did enjoy Bex in the story. Nikki Wardley does play it very well. I think to start with, she seems to be sort of a random customer service woman in a way that's a bit annoying. But over time, I do get to like her. I think that she's a nice part of the story. She does get captured by the cognoscenti halfway through, which is quite entertaining to see because it's sort of playing with her mind. And it's very interesting because we have, once again, a character that's in the story that could potentially be faced with death. And yeah, we don't get to see that in the new series. We do have people die. And that's good, because we like death, because that means that the alien is a threat. Yay, are you seeing links already that the new series don't do? I am. In case you've been watching my other Big Finish reviews recently, such as And You Will Obey Me or Vampires of the Mind, which are the recent monthly range releases, you will know that there's a bit of a difference between the complex stories and the not so complex stories. And recently I reviewed Vampires of the Mind, which had a very basic plot idea, and it essentially spoon-fed the plot to the viewer straight away, which is once again something that this plot had to offer. And it's a brilliant way to ease a new viewer into Big Finish, because I think that it can get over complex in places. And what I like about this one, something much like how Vampires of the Mind has, it has a very small cast. Going off the website now, I could literally list the cast for this story within a few minutes. Nikki Wardley, who plays Bex, we have Rachel Sterling, who plays Jill Meadows, Cook Sibtain, who plays Brian, Rory Keenan, who plays Kevin, and Jot Davies, who plays Lucas. And that is it. And I'm guessing that they all played the cognoscenti, I'm guessing, because nobody's credited for that, so I'm maybe guessing it's Nick Briggs, I don't know. Actually, a following pattern for these releases on box sets, they do tend to have a very small cast, and that makes the episode work a lot better, because we have a lot less people to worry about, meaning that the people that we do get are a lot more developed. The episode definitely plays with the idea of a modern day invasion, which is something that the new series does, because I think that the brilliant thing with this story is Matt Fitton, he's not wrote for new series Doctor Who before, yet it feels like he has. He knows the plots inside out. He knows the way that the new series works, which I think that that's brilliant, because it shows that he's done research, and no doubt he watches the new series much like how the majority of you do when it sort of airs on TV. And I think that this episode follows that so well. It shows that he's took interest into the new series. You will find that the new series is a lot of a different format compared to the classic series. Comparing it to, say, the monthly range, which is a 2-hour long story, there is of course a whole hour missing there, and it works really well because Matt Fitton has wrote for the monthly range before, and it shows that with this he can develop his idea, he can develop his plot style and make it much more concise to a 1-hour story. And I think that the format generally works so well because we have an opening sequence that takes place before the actual theme tune, much like how the new series would. Essentially, if you closed your eyes with a new series televised story and this one, you couldn't tell that this was an audio and that was a televised story, because that's the brilliant thing about it. The format is spot on, and that is what works so well, because the companions work very well, the Doctor works very well, because the format is essentially the same, meaning it's not changed as much. However, the one thing that has actually changed for this story is the plot itself. Although it's an alien invasion, it is done differently. It's done like something like the Bells of St. John, but like the Bells of St. John done well. I do quite like the Bells of St. John. I like the modern aspects of it, although I felt that the technology part of it could have been done a lot better. This episode of the Cognoscenti, instead of having the Spoonheads, we have this villain that doesn't really appear in the story as much. It doesn't really have too much screen time, which I think also works very well. I think the balance between the alien as well and the technology, because we have a lot more of that technology-based stuff and the effect that it has on the humans, and we get to see that. To see some civilians in the story that are genuinely affected by the invasion plot and not just running around screaming. For example, Bex, we know about her grandma, we get some family development in there, we know about her already, and by the end of the story I actually feel like I know her character. She wants to go travelling. Same with Kev, who we meet, who is basically a train driver, as Donna and Bex go off to go and see her gran. The Cognoscenti has took over the underground, as that is where they're hiding, in an underground base. and we have the trains there, and we have this character called Kevin, who he's not in the episode as much. He's a train driver, and he stopped using the trains because he realised something was wrong, and he saves Donna. Bex is unfortunately taken away, as I said, and then once again we get to know his character. He has a role to play in the story, because by the end of the story, he was a very pivotal part in the very ending. He helped towards the plot, much like how Donna did. Donna got to bash down an underground gate with a digger. Once again, why would you not want to listen to that? Because it's something that works so well. By the end of the episode, the Doctor is made thick as well, basically. They go back to the TARDIS, they get a bit confused, and because of all the technology around the Doctor, it backfires on him. And I love that, because once again we have a bit of a family of blood idea of where the Doctor acts like he doesn't really know himself. He's not really the Doctor. And then he goes to the underground base, and then he meets the cognoscenti, and then all of a sudden we have the snap, and he is back again because he reverses the effect that the cognoscenti has. So the machinery, instead of making the humans thick, he makes the cognoscenti thick, which means that they don't know how to work their own machines, and then they go off, the machine explodes along with their escape pod to their other portal, and yeah, it blows up, and so does the tube station. And once again, although it was sort of a standard reverse the idea of programming plot, it worked well for the story. And the ending plot for this story wasn't a get out clause either, which I loved, because I felt like I ended the story with the plot fully established and the plot fully done. And yeah, that's something that once again the new series doesn't have to offer, and something that this does, and proves why Big Finish has superior scriptwriters. Bloody hell, I mean that so much. Seriously, superior. That's the one thing that I can honestly say. Big Finish or the new series, which one's superior? Big Finish any day. I mentioned earlier about format, there's one other thing that this episode does that the new series doesn't, and that is having a 1 hour format. All of the episodes on this box set are pretty much an hour long or 57 minutes, something like that. A standard new series story on average is about 45 minutes long, meaning we have about 15 minutes worth of time that has been added on this story, and quite a lot of people often refer to the new series as having 45-minute syndrome, where the format is just all over the place and it staggers about, and by the ending it's very, very rushed. With this extra 15 minutes, it shows how much the Doctor Who would benefit, and it's been campaigned for years for a new series story to be extended by at least 15 minutes to make it 1 hour long, because it makes it so much different. It allows for a lot more development of the characters, and that 15 minutes makes all the difference. As shown here, because we had a lot more development, I actually felt like the alien had an aim, and just generally we allowed for a bit more dawdling as well. We allowed for the Doctor and Donna to be themselves at the beginning, not faffing around in a convention about technology, which is what I loved, because we got to see them being themselves without having... We got to see them being themselves, which is something that we didn't have in the new series, because it's sort of we land, and then we have this plot straight away, and then they go and solve the plot. We have time to faff around, and we have time just to see them being natural, and that is the best thing about the 10th Doctor and Donna. They are the most natural new series companions possibly ever. Overall for this story, quite honestly, I really enjoyed it. For an opening story, it was perfect, as I was a little bit worried to start with about Big Finish not getting the new series style format right, and then that affecting the characters, but it turns out they got it right, if not better than the actual new series itself. It's ticked the boxes of the new series as well as adding something new in, which is what I really enjoyed about it. And it just works so well. I think that the idea of having modern technology in the first modern day story is a brilliant idea. It really introduces the story and the era really well. Looking forward to what else is to come, as we do have a few more futuristic stories in there, as well as going back to the past as well. So quite honestly, we're sort of filling all the little boxes really of the present, the past and the future, which I think is a perfect idea to do. That's that. Join me next time for a review of Time Reaver, written by Jenny T. Colgan, which will no doubt be the next video that you guys will be seeing, so I guess I will join you then. And as I said at the start of the video, down in the description below there will be all the different links to all the different ways that you can buy this release in CD form, collector's edition, download, whatever else, from the Big Finish website. As I said, I highly recommend it. If you are a David Tennant fan, you need this in your life, especially if you have exams. Buy it and make it a treat after an in-between revision to watch this, much like how I'm doing, because honestly, this is right now my way of relaxing from revision, and it's working pretty well. So yeah, I highly recommend this release if you haven't already got it. So thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please do give it a big like, and please subscribe if you're not already. If any questions, please do leave them below, and I'll be sure to answer them at some point in the near future. Thanks again for watching. I shall see you all next time. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.